is flipping it on Rachel Maddow. So you better say racism, even though it makes no sense in this context. Otherwise, you don't deserve that salary or whatever. To be fair to Keith Olbermann, Rachel Maddow has that job purely because of Keith Olbermann. So as much as I dislike Keith Olbermann, I'm always fair, and he absolutely made sure that she got that job.
I hate all these people. Okay, let's just move on. Okay.
In this video, Ana Kasparian of the Young Turks reports on the civil war at MSNBC after the glorious firing of Joy Reid. Ana Kasparian discusses how some of the MSNBC personalities are crying racism, and she also plays some clips of Joy Reid's greatest hits, when in actuality are just duds. With that, let's watch Ana Kasparian, in no uncertain terms, express her disdain for all of the clowns at MSDNC.
Joy Reid was fired by MSNBC. There's lots of other ways to phrase this, and I'm sure they will dress this up to some degree. This is contributing to the entirety of the Trump racism enveloping this country, and it is part of a stampede to see which formerly liberal company can get to the head of the racism line, the approved racism line, as fast as possible. And Joy Reid getting removed from the primetime lineup of MSNBC is MSNBC's biggest contribution yet.
Joy Reid has been fired from MSNBC. And Keith Olbermann thinks that race has something to do with it, even though she will be replaced with 2 Black hosts and a Latina host. So I don't think it's about racism.
Yeah, well, for some people who've lost their minds like Keith Olbermann, everything's about racism.
Yeah.
So although there is one thing that Joy Reid did that was positive, that might have actually been the issue. We'll get to that in a sec.
Now, before we get to that, I should also note that Keith Olbermann is now pointing fingers at other MSNBC hosts and essentially demanding that they step down for Joy Reid's sake, and that includes Rachel Maddow, Lawrence O'Donnell, and Chris Hayes.
We often talk about TDS and which pundits, celebrities, talk show hosts have it. You know, Bill Maher's obviously got it really bad. The ladies at The View. Keith Olbermann, we don't talk about a lot because nobody cares about him, but he's an insane person. And he is definitely in the running, if not the front runner, for the most severe case of TDS. He is an angry person all the time. You're going to hear him say a little bit more here, but well, first of all, I don't even know where he has a show, but wherever he's recording himself from, the fact that he can get on a microphone and say without laughing that this has anything to do with racism is insane. On the most far left progressive network, he's suggesting that they want to show Trump how racist they are to get in his good favor. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And as Ana just mentioned, Joy Reid's being replaced with 2 Black people. So doesn't that just dismantle his argument right there? They're doubling the amount of Black people in that slot in prime time. This is the second time I've watched this video, and it is a challenge for me. When I just hear a single word come out of his mouth before a thought has been formed, I'm irritated. He's an insufferable douchebag. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Let's go to his post where he says, "Dear Maddow, if you go on the air tonight, or at a minimum go on without condemning the overt racism of the people who give you $25 million a year, you are complicit. Same for you, Lawrence O'Donnell and Chris Hayes. Protest, or you are all Joe Scarborough." Now, of course, it goes without saying, Keith Olbermann used to be a host at MSNBC before he too was fired from his position. But let's get to the details here, because go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, real quick on one thing there. Nice lib-on-lib crime there, because, you know, unfortunately, some version of liberal Democrats say racism about everything. And so Rachel Maddow normally does that, but now Olbermann is flipping it on Rachel Maddow. So you better say racism, even though it makes no sense in this context. Otherwise, you don't deserve that salary or whatever. To be fair to Keith Olbermann, Rachel Maddow has that job purely because of Keith Olbermann. So as much as I dislike Keith Olbermann, I'm always fair, and he absolutely made sure that she got that job.
I hate all these people. Okay, let's just move on. Okay,
all right.
So who?
Tell us how you really feel, Ana. Goodness gracious. I hate all these people. Let's just move on. Look at Cenk's face where I paused. He's irritated a little bit. He wanted to impart some wisdom into the conversation, and Ana just completely shut him down. Now, I knew this before, but does it not make perfect sense that someone as insufferable as Rachel Maddow, her mentor is Keith Olbermann? Keith Olbermann was fired from MSNBC 100 years ago and has been begging for relevance ever since. And anytime you hear him talk, it's him yelling and screaming about Trump or Republicans or racism. I'm sorry, that is not a normal way to think. And then he's telling everyone else what they should do with their jobs because of something he perceives as racist, which he's completely wrong on. As we just discussed, she's being replaced with 2 other black people. Everyone talks about her ratings tanking as of late. They've never been good. I'd say it's racism to keep her on the air as long as they did. There's no way they made any money off of Joy Reid. It had to be a loss leader. Like, she couldn't even compete with non-cable news shows, reruns of Green Acres or something. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but she was always low in her time slot. And I think she has a lot to thank for her staying on the air, 2020 Summer of Love and BLM and people being afraid to say anything negative to a black American. If you're a business, why would you leave someone on that's just not making you money? I really, it is something I want to look into further because I know they're liberal and insanely progressive, but they're still a business, right? They still have shareholders and their goal is to make money. I think Anna cut him off, but Cenk's obviously also wrong on here. He said something like, well, I don't like Joy Reid, but she did do something positive. Let me correct you right there, Cenk. That woman has never done anything positive in her entire life. She's racist, divisive, angry, hateful, and she lied constantly. She's done nothing positive in her life. I don't want to be a human being that wishes ill on anyone else, and I don't, but I have zero sympathy that Joy Reid is gone. I mean, anyone with a brain has been getting on their knees at night and praying to God to please make this happen. So God is good and he does answer prayers. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Who will Joy Reid be replaced with? Simone Townsend Sanders, former Bernie Sanders press secretary. She was also an advisor to both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Alicia Menendez, that's actually Bob Menendez's daughter, but yeah, that's all I have about her. She also hosts a show on MSNBC. And then you have Michael Steele, former Republican and also former chair of the Republican National Committee. So
Uniparty.
Yes. So all 3 of them actually had been hosting a different show on MSNBC called The Weekend. The Weekend will now have 3 new hosts, and these 3 individuals will be hosting a panel show in the hour where Joy Reid's show is currently airing. Her last episode will take place this week. Now, we have criticized Joy Reid plenty on this show for making statements like this.
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
And I think it's important to say that, anyone who has experienced or been in the United States for any period of time and experienced this country's history and knows it cannot have believed that it would be easy to elect a woman president, let alone a woman of color. Let's just be clear. And nothing that was true yesterday about how flawlessly this campaign was run is not true now. I mean, this really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign. Queen Latifah never endorses anyone. She came out and endorsed. She had every prominent celebrity voice. She had the Taylor Swift. She had the Swifties. She had the Beehive. You could not have run a better campaign in that short period of time. And I think that's still true.
So look, I gotta say her election analysis was awful. Lots, which she had to say in spreading weird conspiracy theories after the first assassination attempt against Donald Trump. I thought that was awful, but we are the fairest show. And
I couldn't even count how many things that Joy Reid said wrong in that classic clip they just played of her after action report of the election there. I'm sure people are sick of hearing me saying it, but we all know that these news anchors at the mainstream liberal media are so out of touch with average Americans. Joy Reid's right at the top of the pack. The fact that she thinks that getting a ton of celebrity endorsements is a great thing for a presidential campaign in 2025 is one of the most insane thoughts. Like no one believes that. Even people that aren't into politics, people do not care what celebrities have to say. People do not like being told by celebrities how to vote. And then, of course, I could go down the list, but that Queen Latifah line being the first thing she mentions after saying that Kamala Harris, who lost, by the way, ran a flawless campaign, but she got Queen Latifah. I mean, that's a supposed news person. She is a joke and she will not be missed. But we want to hear from you. What do you all think about Joy Reid getting canned? And what do you think about Cenk and Anna's commentary on the matter? Let us know. Anyway, as always, really appreciate you watching, and we will see you on the next one.